Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I'm stoked you're here. I want to take a quick second and say thank you to the channel members. Thank you all so much. It means more to me than you know. And if you guys that are stopping through, thank you for taking the time to watch my content. I appreciate it. If you are interested in EDC content and you like what you see, I'd love it if you'd hit that subscribe button and that bell notification icon. It really helped me out. And lastly, if you guys are over on Instagram and you'd like to connect over there, I am at jevans underscore knife addict life underscore life. Same exact handle as over here on my YouTube. But today I wanted to revisit a video that I shot a long time ago when I first started, kind of talking about US makers and my favorite US manufacturer. And I was talking about then, and I'm still talking about now, Three Rivers Manufacturing, TRM Knives. We know them as the makers of the Shadow, the Atom, the Neutron, the Nerd, the Atlas. Um, they've been making great knives 100% in America in Three Rivers, Massachusetts. The only material that they don't make or get locally is their carbon fiber. They source it from Lithuania and they explain that proudly on their website. So the first reason they're my favorite company is I've told you guys all along the sum of the parts, the people that make up the whole, can make the difference. And the team at TRM are among the most engaging, the most friendly, and the most giving of any in the community. I have no affiliation with TRM Knives except for the fact that I know them and I consider Marianne Halpern and Lee Halpern, the owners of the company, as personal friends. I consider the gals that work there that are at the shows when either with Marianne and Lee or when Marianne and Lee can't be there, like at the smaller shows. I appreciate all of them. They're always very engaging. They know their customers. If you buy a lot of products from them, if you buy some knives from them, if you communicate with them, whether it be on social media or through email, they're always very responsive. And one thing that strikes me is they don't talk about this much and they probably would deny it, but they're some of the most giving, charitable, involved in the community companies that I'm aware of. I speak from my experience with Knives Live that we organize and we run every year, in terms of being the first to look out for whether it's a fundraiser for a fellow brother who passed way too early, or whether it's Nas Live, or whether it's you name it. They're the first to say, we want to be involved. What can we do? Tell us where, tell us when. Um, Guys, they do stuff in their local community. They do stuff besides employ Americans and make great knives that really warm my heart. They do it the right way and they're authentic. So why I love them is because the humans are great people. But then we're all here because we are addicted to knives. We love knives. So what business do they have making knives in Three Rivers, Massachusetts, and expecting the community to think they're good? Well, the community has tested and spoken, and these knives do not stay in stock. They are made available. You do have to kind of make an attempt to get them, right? Every Friday, typically, they'll drop a few. If you're tied in or if you're on their email list, there's no reason you can't get a Three Rivers manufacturing knife. Now, if you're trying to get a titanium shadow, you will probably, unfortunately or fortunately, have to get that at one of the knife shows. But they're always dropping stuff. They're very active on social media, they're very active on their website, and their newsletters next to none. So all I suggest is if you're interested in their knives, but you've been frustrated due to the availability, get on their site. I'll link it in the description and just sign up for their newsletter. Follow them on Instagram. DM them if you see something, or if you've got a question like, hey, when are nerds going to be available again? Or when are you going to release those Magnacut nerds again? Whatever the case may be. They're very responsive to the community. So the business started is Halpern, which that's the last name of Lee and Marianne, Halpern Titanium. They'd been supplying, from my understanding, and again, check me if I'm wrong in the comments, but they've been supplying titanium knife parts and supplies to American knife companies or knife companies that were looking for high-end products to build their knives, and then started building their own knives. And what they do is they're what I would call a small batch manufacturer. Yes, they're a manufacturer. Whoops. I sometimes fail my little nerd flick, but anyways, I digress. They're a small batch manufacturer, right? And what they're able to do, I think, as well as anybody, is control the production, control the process, enhance their products as the community speaks out, offer upgrades and ways to customize the products, make sure that their heat treats are on point, and make sure that the knives that they're giving the community, the public, their market, which are EDC knives that are designed to be very slicey, that are designed to cut things, and they do it better than anybody else, guys, in my opinion. And I'm sorry, we might have a cat come bother us here for just a second. She means nothing by it. She just woke up from a nap. But in either case, let me set some food over here. That would buy us some time. Guys, I apologize, but as you know, I don't do edits in my world. So as we're talking about TRM and we're talking about why their knives cut so well, why their heat treats are on point, is because they repeat a process that they have worked on, tried, tested, and basically settled. Settle's the wrong word. They've come to a point to where the community is reacting positively to everything that they're doing in their shop. They're a small batch producer, so they can control heat treats a little better. They can control the quality of every knife that goes through there because they're making them by hand. They're quality checking them. They are some of the easiest knives to take apart, to do maintenance on. They operate on washers. You can get these knives. This is the nerd. We're going to run through all the knives real quickly, and I'll try to make this not a super long video. I can't promise that. But they're 20 CV. All the ones in my collection currently are 20 CV. I almost bought my third nerd that is in Magnacut because they're starting to do some stuff with Magnacut. But this is 20 CV. I love it. This is the holy nerd. I picked it up in Micarta handles. It is also available in G10. You can get it in different micartas. You can buy scales to change it out. We'll do that if we have time on one of my other nerds, just to show you how easy it's done. And you can get this in titanium scales. This is the only TRM knife that I have that's not dressed in titanium. So if you move up because the nerd's too small for you, the next size in the lineup is the Neutron. The Neutron's probably my favorite EDC knife. It's thin, it's slicey, just like all TRM knives. It's 20 CV, heat treated wonderfully, exquisitely slicey. I will try to pull a piece of paper off here. Whoops. And show you that all my TRMs are amongst the sliciest knives in my collection. Whoops, I slipped out of that cut. But they're amongst the sliciest knives in my collection. And it's because the geometry, you hear Jared talk about edge geometry a lot, and it's absolutely accurate. These knives have fantastic heat treats, fantastic edge geometry, and they are just cutters, guys. So this knife I went through, because I like to change up my knives, probably 10 or 15 sets of scales because they're so economical and you can pick them up from TRM. And it's kind of like when you're a knife junkie like me and you like collecting knives, you also like collecting things for knives that you actually really like. So I collected a bunch of scales. I've since gifted those to other TRM lovers because, like they say, once you go titanium, it's hard to go back, even to Mexican Micarta blanket or Mexican blanket Micarta, which is a fantastic scale. But I had a buddy who really expressed interest in those if I ever wanted to get rid of them. So I just sent them to him because, to be honest with you, the difference that these titanium scales make over the Micarta or G10 scales, just in weight, is impressive, guys. I can't imagine going back and putting my Micarta or G10 on a titanium knife. My Atom, which is a I want to say I should be giving dimensions. So the Atom comes in at 8 inches, the Neutron comes in at 7 inches, and the Nerd comes in at 5.5. The Nerd has a 2.25-inch blade, the Neutron 3-inch, the Atom 3.5. So the Atom is just a exactly larger, thumb stud operated, Linerlock, titanium, um, pocket knife that is an absolute slicer, just like the other TRMs, and it works wonderfully. It operates on washers. It has removable scales. I still have a bunch of scales for this, and I've given a bunch away because, like I said, I can't imagine going from titanium back to my Carter G10. And then the final knife in my collection, and the final knife that TRM makes, which is probably the finest knife, is the TRM Shadow. Now, it uses a little different locking system. It uses their River Lock, which is TRM's version of a bar lock. But the River Lock has very stable springs. It has great detent for, here comes Tippy again. I apologize. Hopefully she'll keep moving through. So anyway, the Shadow, you get them. These do not have adjustable or removable scales to where you can change them out. You can get this knife in different finishes. They've done it in different scale colors, and they offer it in titanium. But unfortunately, you can't get this knife. You can't get titanium scales for this knife and install them yourself, because they're just too individually matched to the actual knives. But this is, again, a 20 CV blade, fantastic heat treat. It is done, to me, it has the same shape except a bigger form factor of the Nerd. Here's the Nerd without the hole, the one we're going to do a quick scale swap on. But as you can tell, it's like that knife's little brother. But what I can tell you about the Shadow is its G10 handles, has fantastic ergos like every TRM, has a very nice deployment, whether you use the thumb studs, whether you use a reverse flick, or whether you just flip it out by pulling the River Lock. This knife is a little bit shorter, I think, than the Atom, but it is what I would consider their showcase knife. This knife in titanium would be their showcase knife. So yeah, this is 7 3/4 inches overall with a 3 1/4 inch blade and a 4.5 inch handle. So again, guys, the TRM Shadow is probably the flagship. The TRM Atom that I was able to add titanium scales to, that has very easy scales to customize, and the Neutron, which is the next size down. Every single one of these knives are fantastic and an absolute joy to carry. A, because I'm supporting an American company. B, because the knives are fantastic. They're small. When I say small, they're a thinner, more elegant, ergonomical package. So they make for a great EDC knife. And they're just done right. So what I wanted to do before I jumped out of here, if we have time, is show you what I mean. So for my nerds, and for all my others except for the scales that I gave away, I could choose right now to put these black G10 scales on my Nerd, which I don't think I'm going to. or I could put my boa, which I took off and swapped out for my blue micarta, because the new nerd I got, the holy nerd, has a similar scale, but I think it might be cool to put these scales and have both my nerds look kind of similar. So that's what we're going to do real quickly, is we are going to make sure we've got a T6 bit, and I'm going to start by taking off the clip. And I'm going to try to do this quick, which means that it'll be a struggle bus video before we're done. Because the clips on these always give me a problem at the end. All right, so I've got the clip off. So now all I have to do, I don't have to worry about that pivot. I take that last scale screw, pop it off. I'm going to leave it in the bit driver, because all I'm going to do is go chonk, chonk. Now I'm going to go rant, rant. That's one side that's done. Now I'm going to go to the other side, and I'm not going to fool with that pivot, because I'm not having to disassemble the knife. I'm going to take out the 2 body screws. Hopefully the second one will stay stuck in my driver. It did. I'm going to real quickly pop that screw off, or this scale off. I'm going to pop on my boa scale. I'm running out of battery, guys, so I'm trying to hurry before it dies on me. Now I'm going to put back in my body screws. And guys, it is that simple. The biggest struggle will be getting the clip back on, just because I actually have to line something up. So let's take this, get my driver set, try and see if I can get this in there quick. Let's see. This other screw. Let's see. This is the hardest part about putting the clip on, is finding where that hole is after you get the clip in, because it's an inset clip. And I want it to be set just right. So that's it right there. Now I'm going to take my screw. I'm going to hold the clip in place, and I'm going to attempt to pop the screw in the hole. Tighten that screw down. Tighten this one down. And guys, there is a complete nerd scale swap. When you get scales, you get a full set of hardware with it. So I've got several sets of hardware with my scales. I just use the hardware that's on them. So now I've got my nerd with boa scales and my holy nerd with boa scales. So again, once I get some titanium scales for these guys, they will never be changed again. But TRM Three Rivers Manufacturing, makers of the TRM Nerd, the TRM Neutron, the Atom, the Shadow, not Tippy, but Tippy gets involved. So guys, fantastic company. I will link them up in the description. I apologize for Tippy. I thank you all for coming and taking time to check out the video. I ask that you look out for the guy or gal to your left. I ask that you look out for the guy or gal to your right. I ask that you look out for one another. I ask that you go forward with love in your heart. I ask that you choose to bait, not hate. Guys, I love you all. Thank you for the time. Have a great week. Peace.